I will be speaking briefly about, I titled it Train Stories, Rumbles from Rural Japan. So these are little vignettes. I had, previous to working on JET, I had worked as a local news reporter, and I did some reporting where I had like a portfolio, website, blog, and I continued that while I was in Japan. And I was really inspired about people I met during my different various travels, and specifically on trains. Just even if it was just passing conversation, something about that really inspired me and is very memorable. I was placed in a very rural town. So I don't know if Dylan, if you want to share some of those photos. I'll probably go through the photos really quickly before I begin the small vignette. I was hoping to be placed in a city, but I was placed in a small town. So this is a big city. This would be I think this is Tokyo or Osaka, but this would be an example of a very crowded Japanese platform. If you go to the next slide, this is what Namerikawa in Toyama Prefecture looked like. I don't know why I chose black and white for this, but very different. I think there's a couple more photos of what my town looked like. This is in the winter, heavy snow. The Tateyama mountain range is very beautiful. I remember staring at that constantly. That's the train tracks, and I think there's two more. The early fall, you can see the mountain range isn't yet snow-capped, but a lot of rice fields, and that was kind of where I bicycled a lot when I wasn't taking the train. And I think there's one more that would be an example. Yeah, just of, again, that'd be late fall, early winter with the snow in the mountains. Or that could be spring as well. But okay, so I will, thank you, Dylan. So this one, as I said, I wrote small vignettes, maybe about 10 of them, of people I met on trains. This one is called The Woman in the Black Hat. So I'm just gonna pull it up now. And it's a small vignette of a passing story that I had of someone I met while waiting for a local train. So this was written in May 2012, so about 8 years ago. So recently I've been worrying a lot about getting older and at the ending of my youth. I turned 28 in March, and of course I have so much to look forward to in life. I feel too young to be worrying about mortgage payments, changing diapers, and other more serious life decisions. I'm happy to be free at the moment, but I also feel too old to be floating through life, avoiding any sort of contemplation of what I want to accomplish in life and how to make it happen. I've never been one for endless nights of going out, but I enjoy the freedom of time and having my 20s to explore. In 2 years, I won't have my 20s to fall back on. I can't say for certain, but I imagine I'll likely feel the pressure of starting a family and settling down in a few years. I don't know what exactly I'll do in August after my time on the JET program ends, but I hope to continue to challenge myself and seek out new opportunities in life. Still, I have some anxiety about the future because life just seems so much more challenging and scary as you get older. With each passing year, you have to make more difficult decisions and think carefully about your health and others around you. So when I see elderly women in my Japanese town, and there are many, I always look at them in awe. They are survivors, struggling and ultimately overcoming the many trials of life, including health scares and the death of loved ones. They still stand proud, though often with hunchbacks from years of labor on rice fields. If you look closely at their hands, you can see their swollen knuckles from years of work and the onset of arthritis. Yet they continue to bicycle around town and are active members in the community, exercising, volunteering, and even learning English. They seem proud of their accomplishments and their memories and cling to them every day. Recently, when waiting for an early evening train to the nearby town Uozu, I stood on the platform looking at the jagged mountain range blanketed in snow and hoping that the emerald buds of cherry blossoms would soon emerge. Out of nowhere, a woman who looked to be in her 80s approached me and pointed in the distance to my left. She wore an oversized, floppy black hat, green coat, and carried a maroon tote bag. As she pointed in the distance, she said something in Japanese I couldn't understand. I nodded and smiled because that's all I could do. In Japanese, I asked her if she lives in Namerikawa. I'm 83 years old, she responded in Japanese. Either my Japanese is more awful than I realized, very likely, or she didn't hear me properly and wanted to tell me her age. We both got on the same train car. She sat next to 2 high school students still in their uniforms. Packed between high school students and other elderly Japanese, I decided to stand for the ride. The girls were giggling and pointing to purikura, funny photo booth photos. The woman said something that made them laugh even more, and the 2 girls showed her more pictures. Still in her hat and clutching her bag in her lap, she never stopped smiling for the entire train ride. I waved goodbye to her when I came to my stop. She nodded back. As I looked back to her for one last time, the frailty American society so often associates with age dissolved. Instead, I saw a vibrant and confident woman, a woman I hope to be like when I'm in my 80s. So, yeah, thank you. That's it. I hope you just, I think one takeaway is, as I look back on it since it's been 8 years, don't worry so much about your next steps. I'm kind of a big believer in that things will fall in line, and really just try to live in the moment and enjoy your time on the JET program.